It can be hard to get players to think outside the box that is the boom spell. These are your disintegrates, meteor swarms, scorching rays, fireballs, lightning bolts, cone of cold, ice storms, Mel's acid arrow, magic missile, anything that's going to do direct damage, because it is a straightforward, practically guaranteed answer to many different types of problems. If there are 2 rampaging orcs coming down the hall at my wizard, I can solve that problem with Scorching Ray. If the barbarian and the rogue have failed to open a door, I could also solve that problem with Scorching Ray. I could solve it with Knock too, but I'd be hard-pressed without coming up with some bizarro Rube Goldberg machine to solve the problem of the rampaging orcs with Knock. So players will gravitate towards the answer that is going to solve the most problems, the most straightforward path through. As dungeon masters, those bizarro Rube Goldberg machines, the weird answers that players come up with, can be very entertaining and engaging to us. If we want players to think outside the box of these evocation, conjuration, all the different schools that will come up with it, then we need to find some way to create a problem where blowing it up, damaging it, will not solve the problem. That means puzzle encounters. Yeah, I know. A lot of players do not like puzzle encounters. And I get that if you put Sudoku up on a wall and you have to solve that math problem to get an answer, that can take players out of the game. It feels kind of meta to it. It's challenging the player, not the character. And some people aren't into that, and some people are just bored by it. And if you lose them, if they go wander off, you may have a hard time getting them back in. You've entertained one person at the cost of losing 3 others. I like puzzle encounters because they allow me to put the player and the character in the exact same headspace. That's actually pretty rare for role-playing games. Even the most thespian among us is not really in the same headspace as their character when their character is facing an ancient fire-breathing dragon, or wandering through some dangerous, forgotten swamp looking for an ancient tomb, or trying to persuade a king to lend them aid to save their country. They're not worried about what happens if that dragon just barbecues them and everybody that's counting on them, or that in this swamp I might catch some weird bizarre disease, or something unseen might grab me and drag me under. Or if I fail to persuade this king, it's not just a failed persuasion check. The king may take offense, and then it's off with my head. But in a puzzle, they're thinking about everything that their character can bring to solve this, and everything that their companion can bring to solve this. And their character is thinking the same way, albeit in a more, hey, this is an undead thing. You, cleric, can't you do something about this? The most important thing for me in creating a puzzle encounter is an escape hatch. This can be the only way to get past the door to get the Holy Crusader. It can be the only way to find out what Vecna's true name is. But that can't be the only way to solve the adventure. It can't be the only way to defeat Vecna or to stop the Trask from spawning or whatever it is. This is something that if they fail, they can walk away from. Otherwise, I've railroaded them into a dead end. And now they're just sitting there feeling like, possibly feeling stupid, feeling like they let me down, feeling like I didn't know what I'm doing, and I may have to struggle to come up with some weird way that they can get past it, and that doesn't feel good to anyone. Walking away may feel like you missed out on something, but that mystery of what would have happened if can also be a very powerful motivator to get players to continue to show up. So I'm not afraid of what if, I'm afraid of what now. The next thing I need is some sort of an impending doom, something to engage all the other players. If this door is locked and the only way to get past this door is to hack into this computer, and I've created some sort of a mini game or puzzle that's going to allow that player to replicate hacking, and everybody else is just sitting there waiting for the hacker to get done with whatever they're doing, they're all going to leave, and I may have trouble getting them re-engaged back into the story. But if I have security guards running in trying to stop the hacker from doing what they're doing...
Well, I suppose I could hotwire this thing.
I'll cover you.
Then the other players now have something to do. They have some skin in the game in solving this puzzle that will hopefully keep them engaged while the other person is really struggling to figure out what they're trying to do and how they're going to get past this. And they feel that ticking time bomb that is going to make this feel really engaging. The last thing that I need is some MacGuffin that I can present in this puzzle where damage will not solve the problem. If you give this Sphinx some sort of a magic sword and she says, answer my riddle and I'll give you this magic sword, but we could just kill her and take the magic sword, it's a valid encounter because now they have to figure out whether they kill the Sphinx or answer the riddle. But they're now already thinking damage might be the easiest path to victory here. And in a puzzle encounter, somewhere where I want them to think outside damaging spells, that can't be the answer. It can be part of the answer. Break in case of emergency is perfectly valid, but it can't be the ends. Future James here. I realized past James knew something intrinsically that he wasn't saying. And as I thought about it over the next 24 hours after recording, I kind of came to a conclusion on what that was. I kept coming back to the Sudoku puzzle. Why am I bothered by that in a way that I wouldn't be bothered by like an anagram of like, Lord Voldemort is Tom Riddle? I'm fine with it. Yeah, I'm bad at Sudoku. And if you like Sudoku, by all means, it's a great puzzle. I just happen to be bad at it. But that wasn't what bothered me. What bothered me is if I was to present that as part of a puzzle challenge, I am challenging the player's understanding of math, not of their understanding of their character sheet and their character's abilities, feats, backgrounds, spells, things that they have available to them. And I want to keep it in the realm of you understand your character sheet, not knowledge that you may or may not possess as a player. So if I was to go back, and I now can because I can drop this in, I would say that an additional rule, a guideline, I don't like rules, there's guidelines, whatever I need to put into a puzzle challenge, a puzzle encounter, the character and the player need to approach it with the same understanding of how to solve it. They're looking at the anagram, they're both looking at the same thing, they both understand how to solve it. If they're looking at a puzzle that involves magic and they're a sorcerer or a wizard, they both understand what their spells do, they both understand how to solve it. If you're looking at a Sudoku puzzle or an algebra problem or calculus or something like that, you and the character may or may not have the same understanding. If you're one of my current players that is in the Uldia campaign, you've never faced this encounter before, please either mute the video or turn it off. I appreciate the support. Give them a couple seconds. I trust them. Okay. The Homunculus and the Mimic is one of my favorite encounters to one of my players because it really helps them stretch how they understand their character sheet, what their spells are capable of, and how they can bring different abilities, different backgrounds, different character things to bear to solve problems. In this encounter, the players are going to try to figure out how they can make a homunculus. They're going to go into this room with all this stuff and realize they need information from a sage or wizard or someone that's no longer there. They don't see a body. They don't know who this is. They can't contact them in any other way, but they're naturally going to want to read what's in the book. Some players are going to ask me, what's a homunculus? And I'll ask, who has proficiency in Arcana or religion, or who just has a high intelligence modifier? I know all those things ahead of time, so I'm comfortable just asking for them. I'm not going to ask for a roll. Whoever has this, I'm just going to give it to them, because otherwise it would be a barrier to entry into the encounter. So I need to just say, here's what you know. You know that a homunculus is like a tiny little golem thing. It's created usually as a kind of familiar helper for a wizard or an alchemist or something like that. And it knows whatever the person that donated blood to its creation knows. Now they know what they have to do to get that information. I have to create the homunculus. And they're going to start running around getting all the things ready, and it's going to put them at ease. They're going to go through a couple steps before anything happens. That's where the mimics come in. I use the mimics because mimics have an ability where you cannot detect them unless they move. I don't normally like that stuff. It feels very much, you shall not pass! But there is a time and a place for everything, and the time and the place for the mimic is now. So I'm going to use it now. The mimic is slightly smarter than a lion or tiger or bear, oh my. And I think of it as an ambush predator. It is lying in wait till it knows it can get away with something. It's like a spider that knows that something has touched its web, but is not fully entrapped in it. They're waiting for it to be fully entrapped in it so they can pounce. The mimic is the same way. It is waiting to sense that somebody is distracted. It doesn't know what the homunculus is. It doesn't know what a magical recipe is. It doesn't know anything like that. But it does know what distracted prey looks like. And the moment it senses distracted prey, it's going to pounce. Not on the fighter that wants to kill it, or whoever it is that wants to kill it. It's going to pounce on whoever's trying to make the homunculus. That makes it a very dynamic encounter, as the players don't just have to worry about kill mimic, let's get on with the recipe. They have to worry about keep mimic away from whoever is trying to complete the ritual. Let's say that you have a rogue that has a background in some sort of alchemy skill. They know how to use alchemy tools, or they were something that could use that kind of stuff, and they're trying to make it. You could have the mimic run forward and use its adhesion ability, and that's going to try to drag its prey back to wherever it can eat in peace, as the fighter has to go and complete the ritual for the rogue. The rogue's going, no, you don't have time to kill this thing, so it lets me go. Go and complete the ritual. You need to take that stuff off the burner right now, or else we lose the entire ritual, and we lose the ability to talk to the sage, and we're going to have to figure out some different thing, and this may be our only chance. It won't be, because again, escape hatch. But they don't know that. And you'll have players moving into things that they're not really good at, going, okay, I can do that. No, you can do this other thing. We can use this spell in this way to try to complete this thing. Ideally, if you're running this with party, you customize it a lot for that party. Take, for example, the mandrake.
You pull it sharply out of the pot.
If you have a druid in the party, kill the mandrake. Is now just a mandrake seedling or a mandrake bulb, whatever that is, and the druid can use druidcraft to transform that mandrake seedling into a mature specimen that you can then use with the recipe. Now it's enough. Maybe your wizard doesn't know create water, they just know mending. So instead of having them create fresh, pure water, you have them mend all this broken alchemical equipment so that they can use that to distill water from their flask into pure water, which is what the recipe needs. The whole encounter is down in the description. You're free to grab and use it. It's 100% free. It is like 4 pages. It was a paragraph when I wrote it for myself. But obviously you need the handout, and I wanted to give you an annotated version of my version of the handout, everything that was in my head, as well as side notes about everything that I thought about when I was making the homunculus puzzle, and like how I think about these things, so that you have everything that I kept in my head. So this is, the written word is a form of telepathy, all in my head, into your head. If you do run with your players, I hope they have fun. If you have any feedback for me, drop them down in the comments. I would appreciate that. Until next time, Dungeon Masters, remember, you're a player too. Try to have some fun.